This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Joining me now, John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Always good to have him with us. John, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. I hope.
It usually is. It usually is.
Usually.
Let's begin with we'll start with the presidential race. We have got what I described as a photo finish in the making. I think that's the best way to describe where we're headed with as close as things are in the polls, with as close as things are when you look at the battleground states. There just doesn't seem to be anything that's going to shake this race up between now and election day. I think we've had everything that's going to happen. What's your take?
Well, for the last few days, there's been this feeling, and that's what I think you're probably like me and people who follow politics. You get a feeling, and the feeling 10 days ago was Harris, and it's been less so over the next 10 days. Something was suggestive of Harris has plateaued. If you can't put Trump away at this point, you're not going to put him away. And the finance people, the people who invest money in this, their advantage for Trump was increasing. This morning, or yesterday or Sunday, ABC came out with a battleground state poll, big polls, legitimate polls in the 7 states. In Arizona, Trump was ahead by 1 point something. In all the others, the margin of lead was 0 point something, from 0.2 to 0.6. And I think Harris, if it matters, was actually ahead by that 0 point something in 4 of the 6, which suggests that it's not really, there's no advantage for Trump that I'd been thinking. It's just absolutely unknowable and absolutely a crapshoot as to who moves a few undecided voters here in the last few days and what does it. And nothing will move it much. But Roby, you don't have to move it much. You don't have to move it much. And add attacking Kamala Harris for going to bat for prisoners to get transgender therapy in California. Doesn't affect anybody, maybe misrepresentative. Maybe that does, or the other way around. And here's the thing. It looks like the surest thing is that it's going to be so close that if Trump comes up on the short end of that, we have another and perhaps more serious threat to the acceptance of our democratic process. I mean, that's what I worry about. Democrats might object to something as well. I don't want to say that's not so, but we do have one candidate here who has a history when he was beaten credibly, clearly, not accepting it and forcing all kinds of misfortune. And if you get battleground states decided by less than a percentage point, a man who's not going to accept defeat is someone to worry about. All of that is what makes me, as soon as I wake up every morning, no matter what hour, I can't go back to sleep. I just have to get up and start facing the day, because these things, worrisome things, enter your mind.
Well, like I said, a photo finish seems to be in the making when you look at all of this. And I'm curious too, not necessarily for us to deep dive into this, but the disruption in Florida and North Carolina and a couple of other places with the hurricanes. I mean, does that have, kind of the possibility of disrupting voting patterns? Again, that could be another thing that kind of comes into play in all of this.
Well, yeah, I think North Carolina is one of the very close, microscopically close states, but that's a place where FEMA's under attack and people are and people facing tragic circumstances and crises. But at the same time, they've got a race for governor in which the Republican candidate, handpicked by Trump, supported by Trump, is is not a serious person and is dragging down the ticket, and it stays close. But yes, Florida, I think, is going to be what it's going to be. It's become sort of a red state. But yeah, I mean, a weather event, and how people react to it. If at this point you are a swing voter in a battleground state, then you're not voting on anything permanent. A temporary feeling, a temporary reaction can be decisive.
Yeah.
So yes, that could be a determining factor.
Let's turn our attention to Arkansas. We had four congressional debates last week. I didn't necessarily pick up on any major fireworks in any of them. Certainly nothing to kind of disrupt what has been the trend here in Arkansas, which is lean Republican, if not
More than lean, yeah.
yeah, likely Republican. Well, however, you wrote, I think, in your Sunday column about the second congressional district. I think you probably need to assure readers that you're not drinking the second district Democratic Kool-Aid again, because you've been fooled twice on that. So give us an assessment of the congressional.
I've been fooled twice on that, you say. Yeah. I've been fooled by your polling, Roby.
Oh,
No, not true. Not true. Not true. As I concluded the Sunday column on Colonel Marcus Jones, the Democratic candidate, retired colonel, I've been he's worth a hedge. That's the way I closed it, because I don't want him to pull some upset or get real close. And as a columnist who writes about politics, I haven't even mentioned the prospect of that or written about it. So I asked for some time with him, had a lovely visit. Very impressive man, very impressive personal history. And then I get these, and I know you get them, you get these emails from Democratic insiders saying his internals are looking interesting.
yeah.
Whenever they start telling you the internals are looking interesting, they suspect that you're being spun a little. But at the same time, they get mad at me because I lean center left. Why don't I columnize in a optimistic way, a hopeful way? Well, because that's not my job. My job is to work for the publisher and the readers. So that's not what. But second district is the one place where a race could be close. Has been kind of close with Clark Tucker and Joyce Elliott. Jones is not as known politically, but he has an interesting resume that invokes a little of Vic Snyder, the military element. And what he needs to do is find places in outside Pulaski County where he can limit the hemorrhaging, and either change some votes or most likely find some new votes. And they talk the game about, we've got some excellent data, we're studying the data, and we figured out where these places to go to knock on doors. All of that. It is a ritual of the second district. It happens. I hate to be negative about it. And I would personally be delighted if they were right. But we've been down this road before. And the second district, you know, what we go through. The early vote is dumped from Pulaski County about 7:35. And there's a giant lead for the Democratic candidate for Congress. Then Saline, a lesser populated county, comes in a few minutes later with its early vote, and it alone nearly wipes out the bigger counties margin. And then Faulkner, White, where the Republican gets 80%. And you just have to maintain that reality. And beyond that, the Republican legislature has taken Democratic votes out of South and Eastern Pulaski County, a few, in redistricting, in order to make French Hill's life a little less stressful. So I'm not writing of any optimism. I'm not talking about any optimism. I'm saying this is a good candidate. And just in case, if you haven't, go back and read my Sunday column on my visit with him.
All right.
That's all I'm saying. Okay.
You can check that out at arkansasonline.com. So
Good.
It's John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Always good to get your take. Let's do this again next week. Let's see if the equation has changed. Maybe we'll have some Supreme Court rulings on some ballot issues by
We've
that
got the two things left, really, the marijuana and the Pope County are still in the legal balance, I believe, at this point. So yeah, that's going to happen. Yeah, in fact, let's do this on through the election. What do you think?
That sounds good.
And maybe one after the election. Maybe we'll do that. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Take care.
See ya. Bye-bye.